Namaskar. Good evening. Sreekumar Raghavan, one of a great journalist I have known for nearly 15 years, and Professor Varghese Pantalukaran and Mr. Thomas George, friends. Before I begin, two point of thing that brought to my attention. One, let's all wish and pray that we have peace and safety in the world. That is very important. While we debate and things are going on, things are not as usual. And I am really hopeful, and as educated folks on the call, let's hope and wish there is soon peace prevailing and safety returns. That's very important. We should not lose track on it. The second thing is I need to congratulate Rajagiri Media and particularly Mr. Raghavan. Many people didn't notice it's an 81st roundtable session. That's long. In Indian tradition, 81st is something we cherish and celebrate as Sata Abhishega or Sahasra Chandra Darshana. So it's not an easy order to pull this kind of brain for doing it. So kudos to Mr. Sreekumar Raghavan. Now, he gives me tough job always. One, being a last speaker or a last panelist, either whatever you had in your brain, I'm small person, so I'm not having a big brain. Whatever you have, people have said, Professor Varghese is laughing, or you have been given a tough job to defend. Okay, I'm going to take the second option, and I am with awe. And I am a guy who wants to learn, right? So I have learnt a lot, whether it's from Dr. Vandana or Dr. Anish Pillai or Dr. Datta or Professor Majumdar. Everybody were passionate and they had their own pros and cons in explaining the situation. That is the tradition we have. And I think I am a learner, global learner. I had my good basic education in India. That people fail to acknowledge. Indian basic education system from grade through 12 and on to undergrad structure is strong and it is alive. I am a product of it. My son had his earlier K through 12, earlier part of it in India. Now he is studying here. So I'm going to place for record that I'm going to talk both positive and negative. Hopefully, I'm trying to be a bridge builder in the views which have been expressed, and I've been learnt a lot from this an hour and a half. I have gotten my undergrad education in India, solid education from one of the top schools and engineering schools in India. Then I'm a product of United Kingdom, where I did my PhD, had my stay and visits to Stanford and Harvard and UC system. Everybody talked. So, and then I'm teaching. So I'm a product and practitioner of 3 systems of education. Of course, I am also a product of experience by dealing with Mr. Sreekumar Raghavan. That is itself an important education to be a person. Now, 3 things people talked: an education system building on our basis, and then how we go next. That's the task Mr. Raghavan gave to me. First and foremost, values are important. He talked about ethos. Without values in education, values in anything, world will not progress. That, like Datta said, like Majumdar said, Dr. Majumdar said, we have plenty. What are the global institutes of higher education looking now? The banner. The unique selling point. If you go to any universities, of course, we can't compare the system in Stanford or as against Texas University or as against Berkeley, because those are 2 different things. And American institutes are divided into private setup and public sector. So let's not confuse all that. But every institution now has a banner or a motto, whatever it is. Instead of educating a next generation scholar of particular expertise or particular field expertise, they now want, or they are themselves marketing, particularly in the Western economies, to be a global citizen. So that is the thing I'm glad nobody brought to this point or table of discussion is, am I training global citizen? Then one step ahead is global citizen scholar. So this should be the paradigm. There is a paradigm shift. I've been teaching here at Texas Tech University for 23 years, where I used to visit when I was a student at Leeds University. So even there, this concept of training the next generation, they will training next generation workforce, that mindset has shifted. Now we would like to project and train global citizen scholar. That is what we need now. That is living in the moment. What we are facing now in Ukraine, what we are facing in other parts of the world, what we faced in past 2 years. I have been a COVID countermeasure researcher. We have come up with a lot of material science aspects on COVID as well. Mr. Raghavan knows. So I'm not going to touch. So we need to train next generation, not workforce, next generation citizens who are scholar, no matter which field specific they are, as long as they are able to bring things together and apply to the current moment by analyzing the past. Historians would agree to this. You analyze the past, live in the present by grabbing the values which worked for your predecessors and then put to that use in the future generation. So that is what we need, which India has shown, maybe not applied, but all things are not bad. So I'm going to say that India has its positivities. Of course, United States has its positivities, it has its negativities as well. So I'm going to bridge this. Please give me 5 minutes, then I'll shut up. So what is it? First, the globally, if you go, Stanford, we talked a lot about Stanford. I've seen Palo Alto things, okay? Now they are going into now Google. Google, what is Google saying? Google is telling that we need to put people to have yoga. We need to put people to come and train how to live a healthy lifestyle. So you need a balance, which we never talked. There needs to be a balance. A lot of people are acknowledging my talk. Okay, American professors, they talked about marketing. We are good in marketing as well. There is a saying, Americans are good in selling a refrigerator to an Eskimo. Good and bad. Anyway, so this is the thing. We need to have a balanced approach. There, India can take a lead because other countries are not doing it. Look from our mistakes. Look from our positivities. What we need to do, train global citizen scholars. This is what our age-old, I'm glad Dr. Datta pointed out Nalanda and Takshashila and all that. These have been in places. Ayam Ganana, Ayam Neti, Iti Laguchetasam, Udara Charitanam tu Vasudha Eva Kutumpakam. Everybody talk about the word Vasudha Eva Kutumpakam. What is prelude to it? I like this. I like this group. I like this field. I don't like this field. I am Ganana. He belongs to me. That subject belongs to me. I am Neti. This is not. I don't belong to that. That is very narrow-mindedness or myopic vision. Udara Charitanam tu Vasudha Eva Kutumpakam. That is the premise which all, I'm not going to talk religion, but I'm going to preface things. So, Udara Charitanam tu Vasudha Eva Kutumpakam. That is very much needed now. Understanding built on what your expertise is. Dr. Varghese is in engineering institution, I think, and Sreekumar has an expertise in journalism. That is their core competency. But building on that core competency, what they can offer, the system should be flexible enough to provide that. So there needs to be flexibility in the system. Well, people talked a lot of negative points about the Indian system, but I'm not going to agree that. There are a lot of positivities. The value is there. The family value is there. Still an undergrad listens to father because the father pays for him or her, which is not the case in other Western universities. There's a hold there, okay, because I am a parent of a young kid, so I know the problems. So there are values. Now, Flexibility should be there at the system, which I wish Professor Majumdar and Dr. Datta would discuss with the government structure there. And the second thing is freedom. And we talked all about flexibility. Dr. Narasimhan would have alluded to the lack of resources. In fact, I have known Narasimhan for a long time. He had his research under a Nobel laureate. That is a different story. But everybody discussed about freedom, about flexibility. But one point got mixed is the responsibility. You give freedom, you give flexibility. Am I willing to take the responsibility? I guess Dr. Vandana talked about student responsibility, but the responsibility should be all at the level. So we have the value. That value has to stand. It's like a stool that has to stand on 3 legs. I'm talking about building on the value. 1, freedom, flexibility. Freedom at individual level, flexibility at the structural level, and then the responsibility at all levels. And this is what we call a shared governance. The Western universities are built on this concept of shared governance. So that is what we need. When we have shared governance, like Professor Majumdar and Datta said, okay, I have to deliver, I have to build my institution to the next level. Ano badra kratavo yantu visvataha krinvanto visvaryam. Rig Veda says. Let me bring good things from around the world. Ano badra kratavo yantu visvataha. Let me bring values from other place, but give me freedom to use that value, what I have gleaned to grow, which is what we need. And I'm very positive about the NEP 2020. A lot of people invoke NEP 2020. That gives that flexibility. There's a debate there. Let's not go there. So that flexibility should be pushed from practitioners like Sreekumar, by practitioners like Thomas George, Professor Pantalukaran, and so on and so forth. You are in the field there. So we need to ask for flexibility and then the freedom. Then comes the shared responsibility, not only the faculty, it also depends on the staff. It also depends on the students. Got to pull this together, right? So that is very important. Now, resources will always be a problem. Even to the United States, and Stanfords are not just the hallmark or not the benchmark for any institution per se or Harvard. They are private institutions. There are institutions like state-funded institutions where there is a resource crunch. But then what I said, that added responsibility, you need to run your lab, you go and find the money. And that is also happening in India. CSIR institutions which have been heavily dependent on federal funded, central funding, now they are told, okay, you have an idea, go out there and get your own resources. To give credit, IITs and IICs have done, honestly. So with that, what I say is, the value, yes, the values are there. We have to take the values and then look forward towards enhancement. I'm not calling improvement. Enhancement in terms of flexibility of a structure, independent freedom, and then shared responsibility and governance. Let's peace prevail. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.